I will call to order the October 6, 2021 Fishers Plan Unit Development Committee meeting. Okay, roll call for us, please.
Ms. Baumgardner.
Here.
Ms. Bowman.
Here.
Mr. Curran.
Here.
Mr. Stevenson.
Here.
Thank you.
We do have a quorum to conduct tonight's meeting. We just have one agenda item on the agenda today, and Sean, I'll give you an opportunity.
Thank you. I'll be recusing myself from voting on this item tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will call PUD-21-10, the Play School at Saxony. Brian Cross with the Civil Site Group is requesting approval of a site plan and elevations for a gymnasium and learning center building addition. The subject site is located south of 131st Street and west of Pennington Road in the Saxony neighborhood. The property is zoned PUDM.
Good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned, before you is the Play School of Saxony Building Addition project. The applicant initially met with Jesse Bushell. I'll be presenting as he is no longer with the department. You may recall the Play School at Arbor Village on 116th, next to the Fresh Time and the Hamilton proper PUD. They built a similar gymnasium addition, which was also approved by this board, the elevations of which were part of the staff report prepared for you. Again, the petitioner is Brian Cross with the Civil Site Group. This is a consideration of site plan and elevations for the Gymnasium and Learning Center, which is an approximately 13,000 square foot addition. The project required a text amendment, which was approved as TA 21-5, wherein some commitments were established that we will discuss later. So the property, the subject site is located near the center of Fishers in the Saxony neighborhood. The site is south of 131st and west of Oleo Road and west of Pennington Road. The proposal includes the vacant land to the east where the addition was intended to be placed. Through the review of that idea, which was before my time here, it was determined the addition ought to be placed on the west side of the existing building and use the vacant lot to replace the parking lot. So this is the most recent revised site plan. The project will include the addition of 10 on-street parking spaces with 40 total parking spaces. There will be one new ingress-egress point to the east, which will serve to reduce intense stacking in front of the school during pickup and drop-off. The landscape design for this project is largely governed by the Saxony PUD and the commitments made during the text amendment approval process. Namely, the addition must include a 6-foot-tall fence and supplemental landscaping along parcel bounds that abut single-family residential uses. This is a result of significant remonstration during the text amendment approval process. As such, the trees and new fence are identified on this plan. Here are the building additions. As mentioned, this is largely a gymnasium addition, so the boxy look cannot be avoided. Some notable features are called out here. As mentioned in my staff report, the siding will consist of wood plank and precast concrete. This is typical for gymnasiums, and a yellow hue. The mid-rise brick ledge is a wine red, like a typical schoolhouse color. And each of the windows have decorative casings to match the existing structure. The keystone is set in an archway below a decorative reverse gable pitched roof. These are the south and east elevations. Some notable features here. The decorative board we see continuing from the other elevations wraps around the building. There is a rear pitched roof projection with full-length, I wrote mirrors, oh my gosh, full-length windows and the same brick wrap. And finally, there's a decorative trim around the perimeter of the roof to match the windows. As mentioned, per the text amendment, there's a commitment to provide for ample screening between the property and the abutting single-family residential properties. One of these commitments is for a 6-foot-tall opaque white fence, and I've called out the areas where said fence will be constructed. This is an elevation of said 6-foot opaque white vinyl fence. The pickets are 8 feet on center, completely opaque and very capable of ample visual and audible screening. Furthermore, I've been made aware this fence has been approved by the adjoining neighbors who were the remonstrators initially. This project has not received Saxony Design Review Board approval as of yet. The project has received several revision suggestions from the SDRB, which have led to the plans presented before you tonight. No further major considerable or non-substantially similar revisions are at all suspected to be required further. As such, staff recommends approval of PUD 21-10 under the condition that the project is so approved by the Saxony Design Review Board. That is all.
Thanks, Jonah.
Of course.
Any questions from board members of staff?
I do have a couple questions. So just clarifying a couple things that you said. And if we could bring up the fence line that
The
you
fence?
showed. While you're doing that, so you said you were met with some remonstrators.
Yes.
That's a tough one to say sometimes, right? So on the west side, okay, so we're replacing the parking lot with the addition, and then the parking lot's gonna go to the other side, is that correct?
That is correct.
And then, so that is definitely the side that's closest to those 4 single-family residences. What was the opinion of, and over here.
On the west side, yeah, there
On
are
the
4
west side,
single-family residences.
Just describe a little bit further what this all is here on the west side of the development for me.
Yeah, sure. So I'm sure Brian can speak to this more exactly the details of what screening is going to be over there. But per our review, there is a number of trees to be put in there. There's an existing fence and a number of shrubs to screen that area. Directly to the west of the Learning Center is a parking lot and then the single-family homes, which each have their own shrubage and landscaping on their lots. So staff feels it's amply screened from the west end and will be screened amply on the east and southeast ends per the new fence and landscaping.
Okay, so then I see that on the, like, I'm trying to pull this up here. Let's go back to the elevations really quick.
Sure.
Because I have a couple of different pages in mind, so I just want to compare.
Sure. Yeah, so that last page in the staff report is the Arbor Village play school. That was just for reference.
This was for reference, and
Yes.
then this is okay.
Yes.
So I feel like there's some architectural interest on this, and I get that this is not the same building, but a little architectural interest, whereas it seems to be pretty flat-faced on all angles, and I know it's a gymnasium, like, that's the nature. I know for property values and things like that, you want to make sure you have some, you know, if something is being presented that is different from what you had when it was there, right? You want to see some attention to beautification or, you know, architectural interest or something, and I get there's going to be ample screening, so I'd be
so
just curious what the remonstrance was on that and how that was resolved, and that is resolved to the best of our abilities at this point.
I'll have to defer to the director as I was not.
And maybe
present for
Brian too, if you could share.
Yeah, I'll let Brian speak a little bit to the architecture, and he was also involved in the public hearing when this went through the text amendment process, so, Brian?
Thank you. This is the overall site plan and landscape plan, and again, I apologize. Brian Cross, Civil Site Group. I'm joined here this evening with Melissa Garrison at Current Architecture, so she can speak to any of the architectural elements, the massing, locations. Let's go back to your question on the remonstrance. There was no remonstrance from neighbors to the west of the existing play school. The question that came up in the text amendment, when we did that part of it, was to the property to the south, and that was based upon the location of the playground. and what's there and what was there before. So I want to point out to the west, there is a driveway. I'm going to go back to the aerial photograph. Yep. So these 4 homes that are here, there was no direct remonstrance from those homeowners at any of the text amendment public hearing. We worked directly in conversation with this homeowner to the south regarding the playground in this property line here. So this is public right-of-way. This is called Elster Way, and this is a private drive that gives access to these homeowners. So there's already buffering between what will be landscaping along the west property line. There is already existing landscaping there. However, with the building addition, and the actual location of the property line, the existing landscaping will be removed and replaced with much more landscaping. And there will be a row of shrubs along the actual lower portion of the building, the single story with the pitched roof. And when the gymnasium starts here, we'll be working for higher elements with green giant arborvitaes as well as large shrubs along that whole wall face. So one of the things, if you look at this massing of the building, you know, we do see windows here. Now, these windows do not protrude into, obviously, the gymnasium. They are architectural elements. And there will be trees growing vertically in the center of these to give it that offset and that balance, softening that wall, along with shrubs. There's also a continuous water table brick ledge around the entire building, and it's wrapped around the entire building per the comments we received from the Saxony Design Review Board. And that can be seen on the south elevation here, even wrapping interior on the east elevation. Now, when I say interior, this is an alcove with the existing conditions, and I'll go back to the site plan real quickly here. So the existing building follows this hatch pattern here in sidewalk. There's a sidewalk to be installed as fire egress, emergency egress. So that wall, even though it's interior in an alcove, that brick ledge probably won't be seen by very many people, but it was a requirement by the Saxony Design Review Board. So we were willing to make that contingent on approval as well. So any questions regarding the remonstrance on the west property line, south property line, fencing on the parking lot? I'd be happy to answer. And again, Melissa, she knows way more about architecture than I do, and she's prettier than I am too, so she can talk to you about it.
The one house there on the south side was the biggest,
Right.
the loudest
And
monster.
the play school has continued to communicate with that property owner. On the last communication that I was involved with, they asked for permission to put a temporary screen on the fence that was there. And that screen is now installed on what they did. But they have not answered any of our subsequent correspondence and reached back out to us for anything.
Okay, and then just to clarify, you said you're still waiting on the final approval from Saxony? Okay.
Yeah, Saxony has a 3-step process.
Yeah.
Before, during, and then final construction plans. So
Okay.
it's
I think that was my biggest question, was just really the feeling of the existing homes there that are fairly close in proximity. So I think that's all I had.
Thank you. Any further questions?
No, I think knowing that there's going to be arborvitae or something breaking up in between the site is really the only concern that I had. So no other questions for me.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Brian.
okay. And we do have some material and color samples if you needed to see those
We
as
saw
well.
the
Okay.
bricks there. Thank you. Any further comments? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve as presented, subject to the Saxony design review.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Kay, roll call, please.
Ms. Baumgartner?
Aye.
Ms. Bowman?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Yes,
Thank you.
the motion carries. I believe that's the only agenda item that we have, unless there's staff comments.
Yeah, I just wanted to, we did have a PUD working lunch scheduled for next Tuesday. Due to some scheduling conflicts, we're gonna have to reschedule that. So just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that, so you don't show up here next Tuesday for lunch. We'll reschedule that hopefully for later this month or early November.
Thanks, Megan. With that being said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
We are adjourned.